Welcome to our West Coast Conference Fall Sports Preview Week. We're starting the week off with women's soccer, and today I'm being joined by Santa Clara's Sofia Huerta, BYU's Michelle Murphy, USD's Megan O'Rourke, and Pacific's Alex Hussar. Welcome, ladies. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Sophia, we'll start off with you. Last season, first time ever, 3 teams took a share of the West Coast Conference title. How tough was this conference last year?
I mean, I think the West Coast Conference is always a tough conference to be involved with. Every game's always a hard game. I don't think there's ever a game where you think you're really going to beat someone. You know, there always has to be strategies that are taken upon when you play an opponent. So BYU and Portland were definitely really tough games for us, and that's who we shared the conference title with. But everyone that we played in the West Coast Conference was really hard for us and tough.
And Michelle, your team, BYU, was named the #1 pick in the preseason poll this year. Are you expecting a similar kind of thing? And there was a lot of consensus at the top that BYU, Santa Clara, and Portland were all going to be pretty tough. A lot of tough teams in this conference this year. What are you expecting from this season?
Just like Sophia was saying, it's always a tough season. Like, you never know exactly what you're going to get. But every team is good, so we just got to come out and play. But I think I'm just expecting pretty much the same as last season, where everyone's coming out to not kill each other, but play their hardest and do their best.
And Megan, for San Diego, do you like that challenge of being in a conference where it's tough every game for every single team out there? You know you're going to have to bring your all. Every team out there really knows that. There's no team that you can sleep on. Do you like playing in a challenging conference like that?
Oh, of course. It's always so much fun to play, against some of the top teams in the country, and even the teams that aren't ranked first, second, and third in the preseason polls. It's always a tough game, so it's really fun being in a conference like this, because I'd rather play against the best and beat the best than kind of glide through and easily win a conference title.
Yeah, it's absolutely a fun turn of events to kind of watch everything fold out as the season goes on. Alex, this was your first year in the West Coast Conference last year, Pacific's first year with the conference. What were your thoughts on the conference last year?
It was a bit different than what I'd seen as a freshman. That's all I'd ever played, but watching our team play before, it's definitely a much harder conference and a lot more skillful and a bit different than Big West.
And Sophia, we'll talk about Santa Clara for a little bit here. Last year, second-ranked offense in the country. You lost Julie Johnston and Morgan Marlborough. It's a hard name to say there. This year. But what do you think your team can do to kind of make up for those losses, and what do you think are going to be the main differences on the scoring attack this year?
Well, yeah, that's definitely something that a lot of people have brought up to us, because we lost 5 starters, on the border of losing 6 starters, and all of them were very impactful, effective players, all involved with the national team at one point in their time. So all really good players. This year we actually, as a team, stayed here this summer, trained a lot together, and our chemistry is just unbelievable at this point. And so I think we kind of distinguished that as a team that we may not score as many goals this year, but we could possibly go as far, because we do a lot more of, playing with each other, passing with each other, rather than just having 2 to 3 people that are going to score. We rely more on each other than individuals. So I think that just, believing in one another and playing as a team is what's really going to set us apart compared to last year, just focusing on, a couple players that could take it home for us.
And you were a big part of the scoring attack last year as well, one of the main parts of it. Do you like that challenge of this year having even more of that on you to be kind of one of the leaders on offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think it does put a lot of pressure on me, but kind of like the whole conference, do you want to play in a hard conference or an easier one? I think I would prefer having pressure than not having pressure at all. I think that it puts me to strive for a goal, to possibly score more goals than I did last year, which I think will be good for myself and obviously the team as well.
And your coach, Jerry Smith, said he thinks your team's actually ahead of where they have been in past preseasons. This preseason, what do you think he's talking about? What have you seen that maybe makes you think that you guys are in a great shape going into the season?
Just team chemistry. That was one of our main goals this summer when we stayed here, and it was to get fit, obviously, and then just to bond with one another. We've all gotten to know each other really, really well on and off the field, and I think that all of the girls here could agree that if you connect off the field, you're going to connect 10 times better on the field. So that's one thing that we've definitely focused on. But yeah, just being here all summer and knowing that we're all on the same page and that we all have that common goal to make it to the end.
And losing the way you did last year, a tough end to your season in the NCAA tournament, losing to Virginia Tech on penalty kicks. Do you think there's a little bit of a chip on your team's shoulder coming into this season?
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a hard game to lose. I still think about it every day. There's something that triggers that game in my mind. I do think we have a chip on our shoulder a little bit, but we're coming out to win this year because we're still pretty butthurt from that game.
All right, Michelle, let's talk about BYU and specifically you a little bit. You had a medical red shirt last season, so how are you feeling coming into this season?
I feel great. I feel better than ever. I tore my ACL. That's why I redshirted, and it's not a problem anymore. So
Were you able to learn anything, do you think, from the season you took away from the field, just watching your team play for a full season?
Oh yeah, for sure. It was a big help to be able to sit on the sidelines and watch, because you realize things on the sidelines that you can't see when you're on the field, and so it was a big thing for me, and it just helped to be able to, I guess, understand that point of view as well. So being able to relate to the whole team.
And you're just a sophomore this year. You've got a very young team coming into the season. What have you seen so far in preseason? How do you feel like the team's gelling so far early?
Our team has been gelling really well. It helped a lot because all of our freshmen are from Utah, and so they've been able to come down early, and the whole team's been here all summer long, and we've just been playing a lot and getting together on our own, outside of everything, and just we're all super tight, and I feel like it's the tightest we've ever been and the most prepared for a season that we've ever been while I prepare.
And you do have a pretty tough non-conference schedule. How do you think that's going to prepare you for a very tough conference schedule?
It's going to prepare us a lot because, the more harder teams you play, it becomes more, I guess, habit to not be as nervous for those games. So we'll just go in feeling prepared and ready, knowing that we've done everything that we can do in order to be ready for those games.
And one of the big losses from your team last season was losing goalkeeper Erica Owens to graduation. How do you see the goalkeeping situation and position shaping up this year?
So that was definitely a tough loss, losing Erica, but we have great goalies that are ready to step up and take their places, and we have a lot of players on the field, too, that have been waiting for their chance, and they're really prepared, and I'm just really excited for this year.
Thanks so much, Michelle. Alex, let's talk a little bit about Pacific. What were your thoughts on the first season with the West Coast Conference, on how your team did? What do you think you guys learned from that first season?
I really think we learned that it's for Big West, it's a lot more physical and less about the technicality. And I think coming into this conference, you really have to have individually good players and play well as a team, which is a bit different than what I've seen in other conferences.
And last year was your first year playing collegiate soccer. You were a freshman last year, a sophomore this year. What did you think of your first year playing college ball?
I thought it was fun. I like the challenge, so it was definitely different. Again, the physicality and the skill level of the players you're playing against was different but exciting.
What do you see as Pacific's biggest strengths heading into this season?
Our biggest strength, I think, is the fact that we actually are young and we're just more susceptible to team unity and the system that we're playing. It's a new system, and having people who don't have, necessarily training from before, this is entirely new to them, but it's the only thing they know. I think that really makes us mesh well together.
And scoring goals was a bit of a challenge for your team last year, especially in conference play. Is that something you guys have really been working on and focusing on? Will that be a focus coming into this season?
Yes, I definitely think that attacking play has been a focus of ours. Last year we focused on defense, it felt like, and this year we've done a lot of attacking during practices. I think that was a main focus of our coaches.
And do you feel like your team's in pretty good shape coming in out of preseason into the regular season?
Yeah, I definitely do. We've definitely been working at it, and we seem to get better and better every day, and it's really exciting to see.
Thanks so much, Alex. All right, Megan, let's talk about San Diego a little bit. A lot of bright spots on your team team last year, a very young team this year, but what were your thoughts on the season last year for the Toreros?
Our season last year, coming from, I'm a senior this year, so my freshman year was, when we tied with Pepperdine for winning the conference, and so the past 2 years have been nothing like that season, and so personally and for the team, it hasn't been good enough the past 2 years. So we have a lot of fire and we have a lot of energy and are waiting for the season to start because we have a lot to prove because the past 2 years haven't been as well as we thought they were going to go.
You do have a pretty young team coming into this season. How has the team changed this year? Where do you see improvements, and what do you think overall are the biggest improvements for your team this year?
I think the biggest improvement and what's really cool about our team is we do have a ton of younger girls, like freshmen and sophomores definitely outnumber the juniors and seniors, but because of that, a lot of the sophomores have really had to step up, and you can still, we're still in preseason, so you can still tell who the freshmen are, but from sophomores on, it's like you can't tell who's a senior, who's a junior, who's a sophomore, because everyone's stepping up and doing really well. So I think that's one of the biggest things, and that's something that I'm really excited about, that a lot of the younger girls are taking more leadership roles on the team.
And you as a senior this year, that puts you in a leadership position in of itself. Are you excited for that position, and this being your senior year?
I'm very excited. It's, from 2011, we have me and another player, Mariah Butera, and we're just kind of trying to bring back what we had in 11 and, instill that and kind of spread it to the rest of our team, because they don't know what it was like. So it's going to be a fun season. It's going to be challenging, but, I'm really excited to be a senior and to lead this team. So.
And you play on the defensive end. You're a defender, I think the only one we have here today. But last year you guys had 5 shutouts. How much pride do you take in a game where the other team doesn't do anything on offense?
Well, I played defense my whole life, and the main reason why I wanted to play defense was because I wanted to stop all the forwards that, wanted to score, and that was their job. So, I wanted to shut them down and kind of do my job. So shuts are huge. I've always been like, the team can do really well, but personally, if the other team doesn't score, I did my job. And if they don't score, then the rest of the defense did their job too. So I take a lot of pride in that. And so hopefully we have a lot more than just 5, because that's not enough.
All right. Well, thanks so much. Okay, I've got a question now for each of you. We're just going to go down the line and answer it because it's kind of a fun one. So, Sophia, we'll start with you. What is the one game you're most looking forward to this season?
Well, I just think being from the Bay Area, Stanford and Cal are always 2 rivals that we play that are always a tough game. Since I've been here, 2011 as well, we've played Stanford in the spring, and it's been a good game, and we've beaten them, and in the fall we never can pull it through. So I think if I were to pick between Stanford and Cal, it would probably be Stanford. Also considering that last year when we played them, we were up 2-1 with 52 seconds left, and then we drew a PK, and then lost with 1 minute left in double overtime. So I think I'm most excited to play them again.
Excellent. And if you had to pick one thing at the end of the season, what would you say, looking back on this season, this was a successful year? So what's the one thing that needs to happen for you to say this was a successful year?
I just think as a senior, going out every day and not taking it for granted, I think the seniors in this broadcast will agree that it goes by really fast. So every day, just going out in the field, having a good attitude, and playing every game with my full heart, I would say that it's going to be a successful year.
All right. Thanks so much, Sophia. Michelle, what about you? Game you're really looking forward to this season?
Well, we're always stoked for all of our home games just because of all the support that we get. And since we played Santa Clara and Portland away, I think I'm most excited to get them at home this year.
Excellent. And what's the one thing that needs to happen for your team for you to call it a successful year?
Well, obviously we want results, but just being able to come together as a team and work our hardest and just leave everything on the field, I think that we'll be able to see those results. And just like she said, like literally playing every game like it's your last, like having torn my ACL, being able to just come back, I guess, with more appreciation this year and just wanting to work hard.
Thanks so much. All right, Alex, game you're really looking forward to?
Probably Sac State. That's been a rival for a very long time for us since they're one city over, and everybody's always looking forward to that game. We always get a lot of support because the cities are so close.
And what's the one thing that needs to happen for you to consider this a successful season for your Tigers?
I would say probably 2 things. One, beating our record from last year, and seeing constant improvement every game.
All right, Megan, we'll finish up with you. One game you're looking forward to?
I really can't pick one game, but 2 games would be against SDSU. They're always, cross-city rival, and last year we did really bad against them, so definitely want to beat them because they're on our home field. And then personally, of all the teams in the WCC, I love beating Santa Clara, so I can't wait for that because that's also at home too.
All right. And what's going to have to happen for this year for you to call it a successful year?
Everyone on the team is going to have to step up and not put limits on themselves because that's kind of been one of our issues in the past. We think we get to a certain point, we think that's all we can do. So I think if everyone goes out there and is working as hard as they can 100% of the time and not thinking that they are supposed to play a certain position or a certain way, we'll do really well because our chemistry is really, really good this year.
All right, well, ladies, thank you so much for joining us as we preview the 2014 women's soccer season here in the West Coast Conference. We're looking forward to the start of another great season starting Friday. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.